Hello and welcome to Chatter Cave Podcast for the first time in what, two months, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. It was July.
When all the other podcasts failed, what did you do? Come back to me.
But you were in the other podcast.
You could have lived with yourself with all your failure. Bring you back to me.
Yeah, for one of 4 final times, because Hayden wants to reach a certain number before we fully end this show. We are back for our once a month till the end of the year segment. Where break down and review a movie and try to have a bit of fun as we do. I'm your host, Ranking Thomas Hughes.
I reject monk. No, right. I reject normality and return to monk. That's the word.
Perfect, Hayden. Perfect.
Basically, we're doing the Godzilla in Hong Kong. King Kong film.
Yeah, Godzilla's going to be fighting Hong Kong Fooey in this one. It's going to be an epic battle because he's the number 1 super dog. Today we're discussing Godzilla vs. Kong to round out our monsterverse quadrilogy before we obviously pack up shop. Obviously, this is a new release. It was released obviously in 2021 in cinemas, but also not cinemas. In some places, if there was a cinema open, it was going to cinema. But then if it wasn't open, then it was either HBO Max or any rental site, Prime Video, YouTube, Google Play Movies, which is technically go through YouTube, and basically any other sort of site you can get your hands on it. And if you're the guy in this movie, the guy from the Deadpool, pirated it.
Pirate Bay.
But yeah, it was more of a rental scheme with this one because obviously cinemas were kind of closed. But anyway, the movie focuses on Apex Cybernetics teaming up with basically monarchs, sort of, to drag Kong from his Skull Island, destroyed habitat to Hollow Earth. I was going to say Middle Earth. Then that's fucking Lord of the Rings. Try and gain access to basically stuff down there. But all this is happening while Godzilla's going on a rampage. What? Godzilla was our hero? No, he's a bad guy. What's going on?
What is he specifically targeting this one particular company's thing?
It's all building up to this clash of the century between these two apex kings for the first time since 1960. Oh, I want to say 3. I'm trying to remember obviously the Japanese rendition, which I have on DVD, which is very dated in the sense of when you're watching stuff in it, you're like, okay, that looks quite obviously because it's people in suits rather than CGI. This is Godzilla, 1962. Oh, I was very close. I was very fucking close on that one.
It's gonna be dated, but
it's dated for the fact that there's literally some of those moments we've got Kong riding into the fight with Godzilla on balloons. That's how dated it is. It's just him dangling from some balloons just flying in. Whereas this one, you got him coming in these massive sort of helicopters, and as in the old one, he's just being hovered around by balloons, like a whole army of balloons that start popping. I kid you not, it's not even a lie. It's a funny film. Obviously it's not that great, but obviously when it was obviously this impactful thing for the fact it was 2 titans of the cinema colliding. Obviously in this case it's the exact same sort of thing, obviously 2 titans colliding, but in a more modern way, because my god, the special effects in this movie are just phenomenal.
It's visually stunning, it sounds stunning. My god, they did well. Story generic, but
I think is that every
definitely good to watch.
Something I thought myself, obviously when I did the review for obviously the Chatter Cave, when I was by myself and Connor wasn't there, I did the review and I was like, oh, this film, the plot's quite generic. And afterwards I was thinking, wait, all movies plots are basically generic.
Yeah.
I don't think any movie is like a generic sort of plot line.
I think the only time it's
they have to stop it.
Generic. The only time it's not generic is when it's one of those like weird, like psychological kind of
Yeah,
films. When it's very like out there, that's when it's not generic. When it's like more of an action film,
it's basically run
it's
the mill
potentially
generic.
very run the
Yeah,
mill. There's
but
got to be some bad company or some government, some kind of
yeah,
thing. If it's a monster movies, there's always going to be some kind of like monster reason the fighting. If
yeah.
it's a versus film, it's always going to be they fight and then they go, oh wait, we're best friends now, and team up against the bad guy.
See, obviously, I'm just gonna go straight like the point in terms of my feelings. Obviously, when they got announced this, I was like so hyped. Like, yeah, this is gonna be amazing. Obviously, you know my feelings towards obviously the MonsterVerse in general. I love the MonsterVerse. Even obviously when it's slightly flawed, it's still obviously an entertaining universe. But obviously, they released a trailer for this. I want to say back end of January this year, maybe the start of February, something like that. And I remember being on call with you, James, and Alex, I think at the time, and I was like, we got to watch this, and I put it on, and I was watching it, and I remember just sitting there getting really giddy, because the trailer is probably one of the best trailers I've seen in a long time. It's like, the music was a hard thing. It was like, obviously, I think it was a song, it was a song, Here We Go, and it was obviously timed well with the thing. It was like, not revealing too much, it's like, oh, something's up with Godzilla, Kong's involved now, it's going to be a big fight. It wasn't revealing too much of the plot, it was like, giving you the run-of-the-mill, like, this is what's going to happen, but there's obviously going to be some stuff here, and obviously, it got everyone hyped for the fact there was a lot of people like coming up with theories like, that's not Godzilla, that's Mecha Godzilla. Oh, you can see Mecha Godzilla in this shot. It was that sort of idea, because I was there going, first time I saw it, I was like, that's not Godzilla. It's not Godzilla. He's not doing this. Godzilla would never do this. And I remember just going, it's not him. Yeah, it was him. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. It's Godzilla doing all the damage.
Just like, you're trying to copy me, fuck you, copyright strike, and blast them.
But yeah, obviously, I obviously instantly called the Mecha Godzilla, because I was like, this shot here, you can see him there, it's fucking Mecha Godzilla. And I was so hyped for this movie, and I was like, come on, count the days, come on. And obviously then it hit rental the back end of March, and I watched it, and I've got to say, of all the four, I think this is my least favourite of the four, personally. You know me, I'm a big fan of King of the Monsters. It's one of my favourite ones, just because it was like this throwback to the Japanese ones with all the monsters involved, obviously Ghidorah and Rodan and Mothra. You know I love Skull Island because it took like the normal premise of the Kong movies. Obviously people go to this island, but then it added the whole war into it with the fact that it was like a massive sort of, basically it was a Vietnam movie callback. And then though obviously there's flaws within Gareth Edwards' Godzilla for the fact there's not enough Godzilla, it was still this cinematic visual. It was really well done, and it was more of a disaster movie than it was obviously a MonsterVerse movie. But for me, this is probably my least favourite. Don't get me wrong, it is a really good movie. It's really fun to watch. It's very entertaining. Obviously, for when the time it came out, obviously with everything going on in the world, you want something that's going to bring everyone together, and this did. Obviously, I think it grossed. Oh, it was. Last time I saw it was like near enough $500 million. It grossed a lot of money, and it was a perfect movie to bring everyone back into the cinema. It was the one that you want to see on the big screen. Obviously, sadly for us, we didn't have the big screen open at the time. We didn't get it to open until May, I think it was over here, was it? It's like May they reopened, so obviously this was a straight up watching your TV. And yeah, don't get me wrong, watch it on like a 50 plus inch TV right next to me here. It is fun, because I can just blast it as loud as I fucking can. But this is definitely a film I think would have suited more for cinema, because it's so obviously big, it's so visually stunning. It's definitely something you want to see in cinema, because obviously I think that's why I enjoyed the other three a lot more, is for the fact I got to watch them in the big screen. I watched all three of them. This is the first one at the quadrilogy that I didn't get to see on the big screen, and this is one I 100% would have loved to have seen. So obviously, as I said with you, obviously you say the sound is incredible in this film. The visuals are stunning. Obviously, I think the story with Monarch, obviously the one who can sign language and whatnot, I feel like that story is fine. I didn't mind that story at all. It was a really interesting dynamic. But though obviously the other stories there, obviously just to try and show you obviously the bad guys, what's going on with the bad guys and whatnot. Obviously it's there as well mainly for the humour. It's there to throw in these jokes, which is fine. I didn't mind the humour. The humour is fine. I just didn't really enjoy that story as highly as that story. It had two. Obviously, every MonsterVerse movie so far has had two stories. I just feel
human
yeah,
story and the monarch story.
Yeah, well, obviously technically three then, because obviously you got the monster story, then you got the two human stories around it. But this one, usually there's something within like that's really entertaining within both sides of the story. So obviously, well, then again, King of the Monsters obviously had a bit of a rough patch with the villain story in that as well. But obviously, the first Godzilla had obviously the soldier side of the story. It also had obviously, he's obviously Brody's wife, like dealing with stuff. And obviously, it was a bit interesting because obviously it was obviously two basic people trying to get back together to save their basically son. Whereas obviously Kong, it split like the military into two groups. Obviously, the full on, guerrilla army, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call it, the sort of like full on, like dedicated to their role, like bang, 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 sort of soldiers. I think they usually like the guerrilla soldiers, sort of like that, like
guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, like those sort of ones. And you got these other ones that, though they will fight, they don't want to fight. And obviously, there's these two interesting stories. Obviously, one's fully dealing with monsters, and one's dealing with basically the humans. Obviously, maybe we shouldn't be here. That sort of idea. That was very interesting.
One's more on the side of Kong, and one's against Kong, basically.
Yeah, and obviously, King of the Monsters, they had obviously the Monarch story, which was alright. I didn't mind that. Obviously, the dad obviously trying to save his daughter, which was an interesting plot line. Where obviously the bad guy trying to basically cause World War III with monsters. Intriguing, but not as like drawing in as that one. Why the fuck are you trying? I know you're trying to like save the world, but you're kind of just destroying the world here. A
bit of fantasy.
Yeah, basically. Whereas this, obviously, I said the plot line with them, obviously Kong. Obviously, these people with Kong. So obviously, they sort of merged the human and Kong storyline into one big storyline. And obviously, then you got the little tiny Godzilla storyline, which is barely a storyline. And then you got obviously the other humans dealing with Apex storyline. But as I said, the Kong storyline with the people is perfectly fine. They go to Hollow Earth, which looks amazing. They're trying to build up, obviously, trying to figure out what's down in this, obviously, other world. But I wasn't a big fan of that other side of it. It's meant to be a Godzilla side, but it's more Mecha Godzilla side. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
And obviously then it builds up to this sort of generic, it's just team up sort of moment. Like, I feel like what fucked this for me is the marketing. They marked it as one will fall. And don't get me wrong, one falls. Kong dies for a few moments. Godzilla wins the fight. It's outright, he straight up wins the fight. But Kong gets back up. And it's the idea of, you don't want to kill either of them off because you can make more movies around both of them. But don't market it as one will fall. Market it as one will win or some shit. It doesn't roll off the tongue and is good. But I mean, market it as like there's going to be a clear winner. But
or like the battle of King or something like that, or
the battle for the kingdom. Who would be the true king?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Godzilla wins. Godzilla's still technically the king of monsters. But obviously, Kong's, king of the Hollow Earth, basically. So basically...
The basic, they do that as, like, more of, like, he's like, I'm not going to submit to you, but I'm not going to continue fighting. He's giving up with the fight, but he won't follow blindly to the big lizard boy.
I feel like the best wording for it would be one will be king. So obviously we already know Godzilla's king of the monsters, and we all know that Kong needs the king to be King Kong, like obviously the OG. So it's the idea of, is Kong going to take the title from Godzilla and be King Kong now, or is Godzilla still going to reign supreme as king of the monsters? And obviously, in this case, he does. He still remains king of the monsters. But I just feel like it's the marketing fucked up for me, because I was like really anticipating it's going to be this big sort of thing, and then obviously. Don't get me wrong, I like the sort of the action between obviously Mechagodzilla and obviously the two of them teaming up. It's just that it was just quite a generic sort of like look at it. It was like the idea of the kid that's going, that's the bad guy. Godzilla's not our enemy. Go defeat him. I know we give the fucking BVS stick for the whole Martha thing, but at least that had something to talk about. At least that got everyone talking, going, why the fuck did they use that? Whereas this is just like, Godzilla's not a bad guy. Do you want to go and help him? It's just like, couldn't you have done something a bit, like, more out there than that?
Mm. Like make him realize it,
Yeah,
because like with Kong, you don't really need him to like speak or anything because you can see from his face expressions like how he's feeling, and like you want to show him being conflicted. Like maybe like have the kid like in the danger
yeah, that would
of
have
like between the
worked.
fight, and then that's what made him go and join the fight.
Yeah, or even like Kong like saw like Mechagodzilla just straight up like destroying everyone, like people like blasting
Mm,
through like every like people. Obviously, Kong's not a big fan of people in general, but obviously he still is known to protect obviously people. He still obviously
mm,
saved a lot of obviously the when the warbats came to obviously attack obviously the ships, he still saved the ships by destroying the warbats.
mm,
Uh, and obviously when the bad guys pointing the gun at obviously the kid, he straight up tried to protect her. Like, yeah, don't fuck with her. Like that idea
mm,
of maybe like he watched like the Mechagodzilla just like blasting through everyone, and obviously then maybe almost hit the kid, but obviously like Godzilla
yeah.
accidentally took the blast, and he's like, wait, what?
Godzilla protect. Yeah.
Yeah, like he
Mm,
just blocks it because like maybe Godzilla realized maybe I can't do this by myself. I need help, and he's
mm,
seen obviously Kong, and maybe he like spotted like at one point earlier on like Kong like talking like with the kid, and he's just like
mm,
what? And obviously then he's like realizing wait the kid's the key to basically getting him to help me on my like,
mm.
and obviously yeah as you say like you just blocks it, the Mech Godzilla blast or something, and obviously she maybe get hurt slightly, and then Kong's just like fuck this, and then just gets in the fight rather than just like yeah he's not our enemy, just, go and help him. It's a bit
Yeah.
lame.
Like like because he can realize like Mechagodzilla is the one destroying himself, whereas the actual Godzilla isn't really like focusing his fight on the people. It's more of he's focusing the fight on the mecha.
And all his
It's
damage is
like,
basically coming from just trying to destroy this mecha Godzilla from even
mm,
like existing. Because obviously, if you think about it, all the attacks he's done so far on obviously the facilities was him basically trying to stop Mecha Godzilla from even existing.
mm,
So
because he knew that had Ghidorah's head.
yeah, so it's the idea of though he's obviously that he is hurting people, he's not hurting.
Mm.
He's like mainly hurting the bad people. Yeah, I know there's some collateral, but I mean, what's
There's always collateral with them.
there's always there's always collateral, and it's the idea of what's going to be worse: Mechagodzilla coming out and destroying everyone with Ghidorah's head obviously in his skull, or basically
Mm.
these like say like 20 people you're accidentally going to kill. It's that sort of idea of yeah, obviously this human life shouldn't basically just be destroyed like this, but at the end of the day, this is going to take more. You need to stop the bigger
Mm.
threat. Basically, that sort of notion.
Yeah, I mean as well. Like I say, to be fair, like how big they are, there's no way they can't cause collateral
Yeah,
damage. Like, and the fact that they don't shy away from that at least is useful.
yeah.
I mean,
I love the fact that obviously how big Kong is now, and
yeah,
they show you the scale from the get go, like how like when they like compare him like to ships now, you're like okay, when I saw him last time, he's not that big, and he's just like fuck me, he's like the size of Godzilla near enough.
mm, did you mention like even if he was in Skull Island, still in Skull Island, eventually he would outgrow it.
Yeah,
Like their containment fields, like was getting too like small for him. Has to all touch on the mention that, and yeah, like you can see that he could get bigger and bigger. And of course, remember when we did Kong Skull Island? What did I say would be Kong's greatest like asset is the fact that he can use tools.
yeah.
And what does he use in this? A
Force
big
axe.
off fucking axe. Yeah, I love it. The fact that they just think, right, if he's a big monkey, yeah, what if we gave him Stormbreaker? Perfect, let's do it. But I do love the detail of the axe that
Yeah,
his ancestors had was made from a Godzilla, and that's how it whole works. So you see that the big Godzilla's that spine
yeah,
is obviously had they absorbed the radiation and used it against him.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like obviously with this one as well, out of all the ones obviously they've done so far, this is probably the best lit one because the
Mm.
lighting is probably is really good. Because obviously the first one was very dark.
Mm.
Kong Skull Island was more lighter. Obviously, you could see a lot more.
More natural light.
Yeah, King of the Monsters was dark at times. Obviously, there's a lot of like weather added to that sort of effect, like the blizzards, the sandstorms. There's obviously all this sort of stuff added over the top of the screens, whereas this one, you see basically everything. And even like when there's like a massive cloud of smoke, the cloud's still lit like light blue and orange and whatnot.
Neon.
Neon
Very
basically.
neon.
And you can obviously still see these monsters fighting. So I feel like they did that really well, because obviously the fights in this are outstanding. They're probably some of the best sort of fights you're going to get, because obviously you got the first fight, which is the ship fight, which is obviously just really like interesting fight, where it's like, okay, Kong's basically out of his natural habitat now. He's stuck on ships. Godzilla is able to swim in water and get on land, and it's proved by the fact that he basically beats Kong in his first fight, because it's essentially the idea of Kong has to have help.
Habitat.
Kong has to have help to get through this, because they have to drop depth charges to get Kong out of there, and then just go still like stop a T-Rex and spotting him.
Yeah, because like, to be fair, I said the water would be Godzilla's element. So like it's gonna be like easier for him to win. It's like when people said the whole fight of like, oh, if he was a bear and a shark had a fight, do you think it would win? It's like, well, if they put a bear in the water, I'm pretty sure a shark will fucking win, because the shark can swim and the bear can't.
Yeah,
the bear would fucking drown. Like those kind of fights are like, well, obviously one side's going to be very one-sided, whereas on the land fights, there's more of an even ground.
Yeah, because that's what I like with this. It's like there's 3 stages to this fight. You got obviously the water battle, which Godzilla takes the win, so he goes 1-0. Then you got the first land battle, when Kong brings the axe into the fight for the first time, and technically speaking, Kong wins that fight, because Godzilla's basically outmatched. He's knocked down, obviously he's bashed down. Obviously they sort of both got flying, so it is kind of this idea of maybe an even split. But I feel like Kong just about took that fight, just about like by a minuscule, like just barely. So it was just 1-1. Obviously then they have the last leg of the fight, where obviously the axe is basically not present, and Godzilla essentially kills Kong, so he takes the 2-1 victory. Obviously, some might say obviously the Kong victory was more of a draw, because it was kind of like this even sort of fight rather than that. But obviously, if we give him the win, we gotta give the monkey the win. He's got no win. We can't have him 3-0. can't lose 3-0. So if we give him the 2-1 loss, it's like it's very even thing. Obviously, the idea of, okay, who's gonna win the final fight, and obviously Godzilla does, because he basically breaks the chest of Kong and his arm. Yeah, it's very hard hitting.
If Kong had more time to like train with that axe, I think he would have won.
Yeah.
To be fair, like you literally just given a big monkey an axe, and it's like, go fight with it like a pro. But like if he had like years and complete that axe, more like his parents had. Obviously, the parents do show you can kill a Godzilla.
Yeah.
The axe is made from one, so it shows that these Kongs can kill them. It's not just one massive, big, one-sided fight. It's more of this one hasn't got the same experience as the ancestors have.
Well, question is did they kill a Godzilla, or did they just manage to get one of the spines? Because they might have just managed to snap the spine off.
There's the bones as well from the Godzilla. How I see it is more of like the entire like axe is made from one, and it's more of, I would see it as they have like been at war with these things and have killed.
My headcanon still they killed another Kong just to get the bone.
But because obviously like there's got to be a reason for why it's only one Godzilla and only one remaining Kong. So at least there's got to be some kind of even fight against them. So yeah, I think if like either it was a different type of Kong, or if this one had training, there's possibility that they would have won. It would be more of an even match. Like I would see it as like this is probably like the first Captain America versus like the pro Captain America that we've seen like at the end of Endgame. Like we both could like same level of strength, just that one's got more experience and much more better fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, as we said, obviously the sound is like probably one of the another great thing about this, because obviously the sound is like, especially obviously the deaf character, for the fact that when it obviously zooms in on her, the audio basically goes a bit more mute. And it's obviously from
Muffled.
from her perspective of not being able to hear anything, which is obviously really well designed. Obviously the battles, obviously the sound designs within the battles, obviously the axe bit when obviously you hear the beam and it's like boom like that, and then obviously the water battle, they bring back the sound from the first Godzilla when they're jumping from the ship, the plane from the, and obviously you hear that that's it. They brought that back obviously with the missiles when the rockets are basically going in the air, which is really nice bringing back. But I definitely feel like they botched, obviously, as I say, with the half the story. I think the characters, obviously, as I said when I was watching it, the guy from the last one, the dad, like they basically just shafted him to basically this little cameo, which feels a bit sad.
Yeah, he goes from basically being quite a cool character to just worrying about Millie Bobby Brown, while she just takes most of the stage, let's be honest.
I feel like it would have been interesting if he was involved in that aspect, rather than like this new kid that brought in, like he was involved heavily and he was trying to keep her safe at the same time as trying to figure out what's going on.
That as much cool. As fun as it is having fucking
kid from Deadpool.
The fire hand, it would make more sense it being the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was still a fun character.
Because obviously he's already been introduced, we've already known him. Whereas this kid is just like, oh yeah, so this is just someone she knows, he's a friend, and he's like, okay, well I've never heard of this character like ever before.
Yeah, at least it hasn't been the previous film. I haven't been freaking King Boy.
Yeah, but obviously the other two big botches. Obviously the bald guy that comes into it towards the end. Obviously, he comes into it during the obviously the Monarch segments. He's like, "Oh, we're evacuating and whatnot." And obviously, if you read into the director, he states that he's the head of Monarch at the moment, and yet it's never once mentioned that in the film. It just throws this guy in, and that's it. But yeah, it's just like a really weird like appearance. Like I don't see the point in putting a character in. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Lance Reddick because he was in John Wick. He was obviously the guy behind the desk of all three John Wick movies, and you brought him in. The director's literally like, "Oh yeah, he's the head of Monarch," and it's just like, "Okay, no, so we're just gonna just throw him in, have a couple of lines, and then it's gone." Like they cut everything basically about him out of it, which is a bit stupid.
Because he's pretty much like, well, who the fuck's that? No mention towards him. It's like how obviously one of the main of Apex like people was obviously the Asian guy who is obviously
Sarazawa.
He's the son. But obviously they never actually say.
They just say his last name.
Yeah.
Which obviously you have to put two and two together and go, okay, that's the guy from the other ones.
But like there's no reference to his dad. Like we were saying, like it was so better if like when he's like saying like, oh, we can't test it now, we haven't tested the upgrade. Like, do you want your revenge against Kong or something, against Godzilla? I mean, like referencing the fact that his dad died to save Godzilla, and kind of like having him like say like how he blames Godzilla for his dad's death and using that angle instead of just like not referencing it at all and just having him there.
He's basically a throwaway character. Which is a shame.
He's just there to control Ghidorah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways they could have done his character a lot better. To be fair, I think basically everyone on that side of the equation could have been handled a lot better. I feel like everyone on the sort of Team Kong side of it, that nothing was wrong with them at all. I think they were all perfectly fine. It's just I think the other side of the coin, Monarch, Apex, they were handled really bad. I think personally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the entirety of Monarch seems very like
not present
as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, the last three movies, Monarch's been basically the main presence of it. Obviously, the first one, they're the ones who knew about Godzilla. They're obviously trying to figure out what's happening with all the monsters and whatnot. Second one, obviously, it's Monarch at the very beginning, as they're basically about to get shut down. So they get to Skull Island, try and get proof. And then obviously the last one, it was like, oh, Monarch, like someone out of Monarch's now a bad guy, and they're trying to destroy everything else. Yeah. And basically they had the biggest stage set for Monarch, and it's just like, oh yeah, so this guy's like former Monarch, she is Monarch, but you know, we're not going to really bother mentioning much about that. It's just like, it's now Apex is all you need to look at, and even that is just like not great.
Yeah, it's like having like Shield be there and just watch the entirety of Avengers plot out, but have a different company be the reason that they created and stuff. The whole
Yeah,
plot behind it. Just having Shield watch all the devastation, like, oh, we could do something, but we don't know what to do. Oh well, you know what
pretty
I mean?
much
It's just
exactly that,
yeah,
which is such a shame.
they're put on the backside, which is a bit stupid.
The fact Monarch is basically the main human organization
Mm,
of the MonsterVerse, it's a shame that they're basically not even really properly executed in this movie.
yeah, like they don't even bring back fucking Charles Dance,
Yeah, he's
who
like not
was
even.
the very reason they had Ghidorah.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think they even mention where he is.
Yeah, because he was the reason they have the Ghidorah head. And he's not used at all.
Yeah,
That is stupid.
pretty
Also, because it's
much.
fucking Charles Dance. You want it? You want him? I mean, like the most powerful, intimidating person you can have for a villain.
Basically, yeah.
Jeez. And then
I'm trying to think of
they
something
bring
else.
him back.
Um,
Obviously, there's the fact that obviously the deaf girl and Millie Bobby Brown, they're basically the whole point of their characters, are the main focus of the monster storylines because they are like the different counterparts. One who basically is on the side of Godzilla and talking about how like, oh, this isn't really Godzilla's got a reason for this. I want to prove that he's not being evil. And then you've got the indigenous like girl who is the last of her people, who obviously Kong saved and was like, oh, the whole their connection and their whole relationship as well. So they're basically like the same character, but for the respective Titan.
pretty much,
So
yeah.
yeah.
See, one thing as well. Obviously, if you look at like the last battles of each like movie, obviously they build up this
Mm,
emotional moment to build up into that. So obviously the other first Godzilla is the idea of obviously Brody's like, okay, my dad's died because of all these monsters. My family's in danger. I need to basically just go for this and try and help essentially Godzilla kill these monsters and see what happens. The
mm,
second one, obviously, Kong Skull Island. It was the idea, obviously, this obviously group of people have basically been watching all their friends die to monsters on this island, basically getting wiped out. It's the idea of, though Kong's killed most of them, these skull crawlers are way worse, and basically we're going to die without Kong. So there's that idea, and
mm,
obviously then King of the Monsters. It's literally in the last words like for Serizawa, like he died to save Godzilla to kill Ghidorah, and it's
mm.
that emotional arc of he's the reason everyone trusts Godzilla. We need to basically help him win. Whereas this is like
Mm.
there's not, because obviously the bad guys are basically using Kong just to get like the stuff to make Mecha Godzilla work, and it's like there's
Yeah.
not really this emotional. Though it gets emotional when obviously Kong dies. It's emotional for obviously
Mm.
Gia. Obviously she's very upset with him being dead, but I mean it's not as impactful because of the sort of generic thing that happens afterwards.
Yeah. It's pretty
It's
much like she is used as the main part of the emotion of the film, and that's it. So there's definitely there are some down points as we do say,
yeah.
but there are
Um,
some
yeah,
pretty
there's a lot of
good
good
points. Oh
from it, and there's a lot that can come from this now because of how successful
yeah,
it's done. There's stuff that can be spawned from this movie.
yeah. I
Um,
think if we never actually had a trailer, if we didn't go into the film with certain expectations, we probably wouldn't have as much complaints of it. But I think because we had this
epic trailer.
expectation in mind, the idea of oh, this is how it's going to be, and the fact that it wasn't that, that is probably what impacted it a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Uh, I think I've said my piece. Good action, good special effects, good score, good cinematography,
Mm.
mixture in terms of characters, story a bit meh. Uh, I don't know what else to say. Good opening,
I mean,
good
if
ending.
if you've got epilepsy, you're probably screwed watching this
Yeah.
film because there's quite a lot of flashing lights, and you've got loads of neon lights and electricity and big pulsing and basically a rip-off Rainbow Bridge. You're gonna have some kind of epilepsy warning at least. But
Dan May, rest in peace.
yeah, but of course, if you're not, then you're going to love the flashlights.
Okay. I think we should move on to our favourite moment.
Hmm.
For me, I'm gonna give it to Godzilla laying down the challenge in Hong Kong when he blasts down into the earth and roars at Kong, and Kong roars back. That challenge of get your ass up here and let's finish this now. That shot of them just roaring at each other from like different angles. There's a lot of other moments I could have gone with. Obviously, the roar when they're like, obviously Godzilla's beat Kong, and there's obviously a few shots. Obviously, Kong fighting and Godzilla fight. There's a few shots here and there that I could have gone with, but I just really like that idea of Godzilla like feeling that Kong's awakened this basically old weapon, and he's like, "Oh hell no! Get your ass up here. Let's finish this now." I like that idea.
I think you could probably tell what mine's going to be. When Kong goes like, do that scene in it's in Infinity War, but 4 just of Thanos. I'm going to do that as well because it does look pretty good.
Aim for the head.
Let's be honest. The one where like obviously he's using the axe to reflect the comet breath, and then slice through and just knocks
them both out technically.
Face. Yeah, and the massive like reverb.
Yeah. That's a really good moment.
Yeah, obviously. Also, I'm gonna love a big monkey with an axe. I can't not. Either that or the scream where scratching his ass.
Oh yeah, that was good. I remember watching that when it first came out. And it's just like he's stretching like okay, and then next movie he's just like. I think that was actually I think they may have released that as like a little clip beforehand. I remember seeing it and just being like, "What the fuck is Kong just scratching his ass?"
That's the teaser.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the ratings. I still do think this is probably the weakest entry of this MonsterVerse. It's still a really fun, hell of a movie, but in terms of human characters, they botch a lot of it. The generic type of team up, obviously there's a bit. It was obvious, and I feel like they could have done a swerve ball of it, how they could have achieved it. I also feel like the fact that obviously they got a horror director in the form of Adam Wingard, but it didn't feel like a horror film. Like I mean, wasn't really any moments that usually when you watch films, obviously it's like Aquaman's a big example. The scenes of the trench that screams James Wan at the top of your lungs, but this doesn't. There's no scene in this for me that screams Adam Wingard. Like he did You're Next, Blair Witch, Death Note, and a couple of other things here and there, and you feel usually that little sprinkle of their sort of usualness over the top of these movies, but there was nothing here that screamed Adam Wingard. It's literally, I think, I can't remember what I was watching, but it's saying like this is basically a yes man. This is sort of this little tiny director that does little films, and you can get for a big film because they won't say anything. It's not it's basically like it's the idea of how they basically with Snyder. If they tried to get Snyder for something like this, he'd want full control of how it works, and the studio would be like, no, we want this, and he'd be like, no, I don't want this. Whereas obviously Wingard is probably obviously because he's a small director, it's a big paycheck for him. He's not going to be like, no, we're having it this way. It's my movie. I'm doing this. Obviously, the company can literally just be like, okay, we're doing it this way, and be like, oh yeah, sounds fine. Where's my money? Yeah,
just keep paying me.
So I feel like for this, it'd be somewhere between like 7.5 and 8, because obviously the botches, but obviously due to rounding, I have to round it to an 8. But I do think if I was to rank them, this would probably be the bottom one, because I think the first Godzilla just tops this for the fact that it was something different in terms of like this monster movie. Like, it wasn't this sort of generic sort of fighting. It was like an actual like hard hitting story and disaster movie. So I feel like that just tops this for me.
I think the best way to describe it is, like we've mentioned, like a little reference to what you've said before. It's like Batman versus Superman, whereas like obviously Batman in that one, it was like we loved the Batman side, but it was the Superman side laid down. It's like this: we loved the monster side, but it was the human side that let it down. And I think that's what like impacted it. But that being said, it was still entertaining and fun, and I'm also always going to love a film that has Kong in it, big monkey, ooh, ooh, ah. And the fact they give him an axe definitely does good for me. But I'd say 8 as well, because it was still entertaining. And I'd rather watch this than watch Batman vs Superman. So yeah,
Where would you put it though in terms of like in the order four? Because I know Kong Skull Island for you is your top one.
yeah.
But where would you
Kong
put?
straight there. I would say Kong.
Wait, I think this is the first. I think you gave all the other 3 9s, didn't you?
Yeah, they'd be right at the bottom.
Yeah.
But if it didn't have the human side, I think it'd be a bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think the best says that they kind of focused on Millie Bobby Brown a little bit too much. I think there was too much focus on her. Yeah.
That part of the story literally would have worked if it was the dad involved and her. Like maybe they were following Godzilla and they've tracked into the Apex facility and they found this, and like it's like a more of a mystery side to it rather than obviously with this version they've got Bernie who literally knows everything. He's like, okay, this is here, this is there, these are the bad guys. It would have been this really cool idea of if it was them two basically like, okay, she's like, Godzilla's, he's not like this, why is he like this? And the dad's like, I know what you're thinking. And they're going like this sort of like father-daughter road trip, and then obviously they go into like the facility and find this, and like, what the hell? And they're trying to figure it all out. And even like they're in the final battle, I hate the fact that humans helped win it, but just like pouring some liquid over the machine. I would have preferred that Kong and Godzilla just outpowered Mechagodzilla. I feel like
definitely
it was a bit mad them getting involved. Like, they barely got involved in the entire movie. These characters, and then next minute they're like, okay, let's just break this machine. Like, it would have been cool if they went, okay, look at this, obviously, this diagram on the screen. They've literally put here that there's one weakness in this beast. Like, they haven't fixed, like, I don't know, there's like a part, like, in the chest there. And it's like, they haven't properly fixed it, and it's like the weakest part of the body. One hit, and it causes a power outage and weakens it. Like, they mentioned that, and they're like, pray, like, Kong and Godzilla hit it right there. And like they could do like an accidental hit, like when Kong's swinging the axe, like he accidentally caught it, and he notices it and then targets it personally, like even like turns to Godzilla and roars at him and looks at it, and Godzilla's like, "I got you," and they're both like just like smashing it.
Or even when Godzilla used their breath on the axe, have that be when it's like, obviously, the thing, but without the whole shutdown thing.
Yeah,
like make it a little bit harder. And just that breath, like, gives that moment of time for Kong to get the upper hand. And I think having Millie Bob Brown follow Godzilla would be good because it'd be the perfect parallel for Kong. Because obviously they have like the Death Girl, following Kong. Having Bobby Brown follow Godzilla is like the perfect kind of parallel.
Yeah.
Instead of just having her go find some conspiracy nut who just happens to like know best place to go and where to go.
Yeah, basically.
It's stupid.
I felt like as well in that final fight, obviously when you're saying the axe thing, I think what would have been really cool is obviously when he blows the axe and he starts like attacking Mechagodzilla. Like Mechagodzilla is still fighting back, and Godzilla literally like grabs the back of his head and just like pulls his head up and just roars at Kong, and there's like a slow motion axe swing as he cuts the head clean off.
Yeah, that would be cool as well.
And then he just picks the head up and starts roaring, and then Godzilla, then obviously it collapses. But obviously Godzilla's already collapsed somewhere else, and the next minute obviously the confrontation between them, when there's like Kong's like, I'm not gonna fight you.
Yeah,
I think it would have been interesting if Godzilla like, still like hit him. I feel like it would have been interesting if Godzilla still like hit him and knocked him down and went to kill him, and just like, no. But like he sort of roars at him in the acknowledgement of next time we meet though, this is till the death. Like that sort of acknowledgement. Like then they could build up obviously a bunch more movies down the line to another like versus movie between them, where it is literally a full-on fight to the death. One will literally fall. When that tagline would have worked better, like Godzilla vs Kong 2, one will fall. And that could have been like, that could have literally been the subtitle. Godzilla vs Kong, one will fall. That's how it would have worked 100 times better. Damn, we should write movies for these people.
we keep saying that.
Yeah. I feel like they won't know because I've slagged the Warner Brothers off way too much.
Oh yeah, Warner Brothers won't touch you with a 5-foot pole.
Okay, so
Disney though, Disney.
So it's been that long since we did this, I completely forgot to do this. So here it is. That gives Godzilla vs Kong a Chatscape overall rating of, well, 8 out of 10. Simple. Now back to you, previous day recorded Tom. Chat game MVP award time. I feel like we've got to give it to Gia, the obviously deaf actress.
Definitely.
Because she's like the heart and soul of this movie behind Kong. And for the fact they actually got someone who was deaf. Because a lot of these times for these movies, they just get anyone and be like, they just like pretend they're deaf. But the fact they actually got someone who's deaf and had someone obviously working with it on set, like to sign to and everything, that just is so much better for me. And I think she was really good in it.
Definitely. I'd say she definitely helped carry the film as well.
Yeah. She helped give that side of the emotion.
Even though she doesn't speak, but like she uses those sign language and stuff, and the fact that they have her be the one that communicates with Kong, and the fact that Kong's the only one that will communicate with her. Like the other ones, he knows what they're saying. He doesn't give a shit what they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's her he focuses on. And without her, they wouldn't have got the big axe, which gave Kong an advantage.
I feel like then for runner-up, it'd be Kong. Because I feel like Kong's basically... Essentially in this one, Godzilla has completely been shafted to the side. Like, I mean, the first film, he was barely in it, but he was in it enough to still know it was a Godzilla film. Godzilla King of the Monsters, he was in it enough, but it was obviously focusing a lot on the villain monsters, and obviously building up to Godzilla basically becoming this big motherfucker who's like, I ain't taking this shit. Whereas this one, he's been he's the front and center of this movie's title, and he's just been shafted so far to the side. It would have been interesting, obviously, as we said, if they followed like Godzilla around, obviously the other characters, like they add like an extra half hour of them basically following Godzilla around and watching this destruction, like something's not right here, and then finding like maybe like prototypes of Mechagodzilla, and like what the hell, like something like that, instead of just basically just shafting him to the side. That's why obviously Kong would have to be going.
It's like he's been going around destroying all the factories for like Apex, not just that one, but all of them. Yeah,
because they've got multiple mechas.
Yeah,
with different designs. Because then they could do throwback. They could do throwback designs then to obviously the old Godzilla, like the old Mechagodzilla. Like there could be a factory that has the old Mechagodzilla design. Yeah, that would have been interesting.
And they could also have different ones designed after the other monsters in King of the Monsters. Like there's one of like Rodan and stuff like that.
Well, there is a Mechaghidorah in the Japanese movies, so there could have been. But I'm assuming they're saving that probably for like another Godzilla movie.
Yeah, there could be little glimpse to other type of designs.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They've gone with, and then when they're gone, Godzilla was the best one to go for.
Yeah,
but he's going around destroying all of them anyways, just in case.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good like runtime, an hour 50, but I feel like an extra like 20 minutes to add, obviously, to change that other human story, to add these other elements to it, would have made it work a lot better. Because at least then, you're appeasing both fans. You're appeasing the Kong fans, because you've got all this Kong story, and you're also appeasing the Godzilla fans for all this Godzilla story, for the fact that this is straight up a Kong movie, in my opinion. Yeah. Godzilla's just there.
I like the Kong side. It's basically like saying they've made it a Kong film, but still have, like, gave Godzilla, like, the win.
Yeah.
It's like, we put all this story of Kong, but we're just going to get Godzilla to beat him up because why not?
There's just a few tweaks here and there that they could have made to make it even better. Because for me, when I heard about this, when I obviously saw the trailer, I was like, for me, this could be the best of the four. This could be the 10 out of 10 movie. this could be the one that seals the deal for me in this MonsterVerse, and obviously it just didn't. It's literally the bottom of the list, which is a shame because if you think about it, obviously King of the Monsters was the throwback to the Japanese ones. This one should have been the big top dog because it's bringing everything into one big movie.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
I also feel like they, like, even though they made Kong bigger and stronger, when it comes to that one fight near the end where Kong loses last time, it's like they just like took away his like the fact that his endurance and how he's durable he is, and just like for now he's vulnerable. That felt out of place.
I feel like it's just the fact that how strong Godzilla truly is. It's like one hit can basically just completely disorientate you, and you're just like, whoa, what the fuck am I going to do now? And obviously, it's that idea if you just.
It's more of like the other fights I've had though. He was using the same amount of strength, and still Kong was just taking it. That moment was like, oh no, now Kong's like weak and vulnerable.
I think it's the idea of obviously it's had that is. If you think about it, in terms of the fights, Godzilla hasn't had as much damage across the entire movie, whereas Kong's been damaged a lot. He's almost been drowned. It's like by this point now, he's even fought in the Hollow Earth. It's the idea of it's basically it's kind of taking its toll on him. He's been fighting a lot. He hasn't really had the time to rest. He's been running a lot, whereas Godzilla hasn't been doing much. He's just basically just swimming a lot.
I think like what it could have done was like it have Kong get hit by the atomic breath, and that's what does him in.
Like sends him spinning around.
Yeah, and that's what does it. Not just like the whole like, and now he like the Godzilla's like hits. Now they're slightly too strong for him.
Pretty much. Okay, so my question of the day is: do you want to see this universe continue, this MonsterVerse, with obviously more movies focused on obviously the two protagonists here?
Yeah.
And even maybe some focus on other monsters like Mothra, because obviously the Japanese did a lot of Mothra movies back in the day, and other ones like these sort of other monsters getting the solo treatment.
Yeah, I would like to see some Mothra. Obviously, I'd like to see a lot of Kong films, and it would be cool as well. A prequel film. It's like a prequel film where it's based purely on the war between the Kongs and the Godzillas. Because they mentioned their rivalry, but imagine us seeing it, and it was like a film completely.
I said there'd be no humans in that at all, so how ancient it is.
No humans, purely just the monsters. But like they could show like, Planet of the Apes, where the apes use sign language. That's how all the Kongs communicate. And it's like it didn't have to be a film full of speaking.
That'd be interesting.
That would be quite fun to watch, and you can have the all these type of Kongs driving the home of like all of the story and stuff, because these are ones that are a bit more intelligent.
Yeah.
Whereas the Godzilla ones are more like kind of like one being more like, oh, I'm the better one, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And you could have actual Godzilla be the alpha in anyways. So like he was the main person there for all the time, and maybe like he's the one who killed one of Kong's parents. And you can see what happened to Kong.
Skullcrawlers are the ones that killed Kong.
Or the Skull parent.
Skullcrawlers, remember, in Kong Skull Island, they're like the skull. They say the two big skeletons. That those are Kong's parents. The Skullcrawlers killed them.
But so we can see how they got driven to Skull Island, maybe as well.
That'd be interesting.
We can see what happened to them. So nice little bit of history. So they all obviously started off in the Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
To what happened to them, and that'd be a good one. So as I say, you don't need to have humans for that one to work.
I say it'd be interesting because obviously that could be like a test to see how it would work without humans. Then they could be like, okay, let's do more like this if it's like works well.
Yeah.
I feel like obviously for them, this scene is just a big success for the the audience reaction. Obviously the money they got from it, especially during the pandemic. That has obviously now spurred them to go, okay, let's do more. Because essentially, obviously, King of the Monsters was wasn't a flop at the box office, but it didn't do as well as they wanted, and even reviews were bad on it. So it's the idea of if Godzilla vs Kong is bad, if it flops, then MonsterVerse over, game over, reboot, remake, yada yada. But obviously, this has then gone, okay, no, it's worked. Try again. do some more like
Yeah.
this, but obviously fix stuff that is issue-wise.
I think what they've shown is that, like, obviously using Kong probably makes it a bit more better because they can do more with him. They can do more emotional stories with him, whereas in Godzilla it's a little bit harder to do because he's still got expressions on his face, but it's harder to do, and he just seems a bit too more like rampaging lizard. Whereas Kong does seem like a proper intelligent character, like you do see in Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting to see, like how to go with Kong, because I think that's why Kong was the main center of this film. Godzilla's supposed to be the big center of it. It's because it's easier to have more Kong than it is to have more Godzilla.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, that's it for Chat OK podcast this month. We're gonna obviously try and round out some other franchises over the next 3 months. We'll see what we do then. I'm obviously just trying to get people agreed to. I've got one agreement, actually 2 agreements so far. I've just got to check with the Connor agreement on the one for possibly next month, but we'll see. As usual, I've been your host, the Dragon King Thomas Hughes.
And I've always been the main, number one fan of Kong. I'm going to keep that fandom alive.
And this has been a Chat OK podcast. I will say that, Hayden, we had this obviously massive sort of disagreement when we did I think it was when we did King of the Monsters, and I was like, Team Godzilla, like Godzilla's gonna win this big fight. You were like, Kong's gonna win it. You went and you had Alex on your side. I then got James on my side. I also kind of got like in between, but he was more my side. And guess what? Team Godzilla wins, bitch.
Yeah, but I see that as like it's edited wrong. It was shit. It's out of context. It's fake news. Like it's all like it's pure like Godzilla bias. Like I just think the director was a big bias. Like Godzilla and was like, let's make Godzilla win. Yeah, so it's all fake. It's all fake. The government playing around. Trump said that it was actually Kong won. Apparently they counted it wrong. They counted the votes wrong.
Damn it, Trump.